Well, g'day everyone, this is Schultzy from the Two Ordinary Cops. Now today we've got a bit of a special episode for you, as you would all be reasonably aware if you keep up every week. This week, Damo and I were in Brisbane and we went to the QPU 2026 Union Council, where we actually got to talk on stage in front of a very hard crowd. As they're all coppers, but we've recorded it and we're going to let you listen to it today. As part of this though, I'd like to put a big thank you out to Shane Pryor for inviting us to come down and looking after us while we were in Brisbane and recording this. They were absolutely outstanding. But anyway, sit back, relax and have a listen to the Two Ordinary Cops with their toughest crowd ever.
It won't be too bad. Thanks for having us. I apologise profusely for how ugly we are. Shane, you need to up your subs a bit, mate, because we're doing this for a carton. So, you probably up them a bit, get a bit more receivership there. But look, we're XNT police. There is nothing special. We didn't do anything special in the job. We were just in the job. Same as everyone. That's all it was. I think the only thing that came about and the reason we're sitting here is because we found our voice a bit. That was it. We just decided to do a podcast and people like listening to the stories. So the NT is a bit unique, isn't it, lads? Yeah. One of my first senior partners actually is sitting right there. He's from Clifton Station now, but we worked together in Katherine back in the day. In my time, I did Darwin, Katherine, Tennant Creek, Alice Springs and Borroloola, and finished up a DS in Darwin in 22. So yeah, Schultzy.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, so g'day everyone. So I was in for just over 10 years. I worked just about every bush station and station in the northern area, so everywhere from Tennant Creek up. I even managed, even though I was never attached to Tennant Creek, to get a lot of overtime down there when I went down there for a piss trip. So look, I have got a disclaimer. I'm going to caution you. This is being recorded at the moment. Okay? So anything you say can and will be used against you. No, it's going to be used as a recording and nothing will get released until everybody approves it. So anybody that's on this, we have your back. So we're not going to release anything that's controversial or anything like that. That's just the way we roll. And we always have rolled that way. So,
yeah, definitely. So what I loved is we just saw Jackie's presentation then, and that rolls in nicely to what we were going to talk about. We do apologise that we had another guest who was going to be here that's a hell of a lot better than us, and it was Zach Rolfe. His excuse is pretty good. His wife went into labour yesterday. So that's why Zach Rolfe isn't here. We were going to interview him on stage about the shooting. Unless you lived under a pile of rocks in 2019, you'd know that Zach Rolfe was charged with murder after a shooting in a police shooting in Yuendumu community, which is on the Western Desert, just northwest of Alice. And his story just epitomises everything that you guys were talking about with Jackie and with Brian Codd as well. Brian, I was nodding the whole time when he was talking. So we thought we'd go through that. I think you guys aren't interested in tactical stuff. We're all cops. We've been trained in tactics. It was the shooting was the shooting. It's more what happened afterwards. So it was the ongoing just madness that went on very quickly after that shooting took place. And I think that's relevant, especially to what you guys are talking about here. If you're happy for me to kick off, mate.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you're happy for me to kick off.
Yeah, you go for it, mate. Damo gets on a rant, so you just got to run with it.
It took the wind out of my sails. So we were both very happy to be coppers. We were very happy in the Northern Territory Police. We're both from here, but we joined up there to start with and we just stayed there. That shooting happened in November 2019. I was a DS in a property crime team in Darwin, and I'd been talking to Swifty, one of the association guys down in Alice, and he was saying that the shoot's clean. It's major crime sound happy, looks like everything's sweet. So, okay, nothing further to see, move on, we're busy. What happened probably 12 hours later was I was off duty at home and my guys were on duty. They rang me and said, Zach Rolfe's in custody for murder. I said, no, he's not. I spoke to Swifty. He cut me off. He said, mate, I'm looking at the board. He's in custody for murder. And it was like, righto. And then they all said, so we're not putting our guns back on. We're just sitting in the car. We're not going back to work. Not happening. So I'm sitting there going, something's gone wrong. Because I've worked with major crime, something's gone wrong. There's been something in that shoot that's played up. And there's been some kind of incident that's kicked that off that now he's been charged with murder. So I had to talk them back into just business as usual, back on the road, put your guns back on, let's go, back to work. And they did. They were right, no worries, but what do you want us to know about this? 2 years go by and he's on bail, so straight away he gets bail for murder, which it's not very common. So He's down in Canberra, busy place, so we move on. And then the body worn comes out. So most of you would have seen the body worn, I'm assuming. So we look at the body worn camera, and that was the decision point for me to leave the police force, I think. When I saw that, I thought that should be a training video. I don't see what they saw as far as why he's been charged with murder. But more so the investigative side of it was what irked me, because I knew that side. The tactical side is what it is. I knew the investigative side. And I rang one of my colleagues in major crime, and she answered the phone by saying, "Barb, I can't talk to you, non-disclosure statement, if it's about the shooting, finished." And I just went, well, that's not usual, that's very unusual. So we moved on, and then straight away we had the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory in the You and Me community saying 3 days after the shooting, consequences will flow as a result of this. The investigation hadn't even remotely finished, and the Chief Minister's coming out basically saying, "Yep, cop killed him, we'll chuck him in jail." So it was just a devastating moment for the NT Police, and being in there as well as, you know, quite a motivated copper. All of a sudden, I just wasn't. That was the end of me. I thought, oh my God, what happened to this beloved organisation? But anyway, that was that part of it, that side of it. Then the investigation continued on. I'll stop ranting in a minute. The investigation continued on, and I'm getting information back from detectives on the sideline who multiple had refused to arrest Rolfe. In the end, the superintendent arrested him, I think. From there, a couple of guys were saying to me, "Is like, we're being told the outcome of the investigation is this, make the investigation fit that." And basically is what it sounded like to us. And as a result, we talk about retention and losing that middle team, that your senior constable through to senior sergeant ranks, those guys. So your SALT, your absolute drivers of the road. I don't know how many it was, boys. Was it a couple of hundred? A couple of hundred. So the brain drain from the organisation in that middle management was devastating. So that was that part of it. What do you got, Schultzy, from the side?
Well, mate, I'd just finished the job. I was still, in contact with everybody up there. It definitely took the wind out of my sails. A part of me died when I heard that he'd been arrested. I'd previously spoken to a couple of the major crime, and when we're talking about some of these major crime detectives, they are bloody good detectives, extremely competent at what they do. And so I had full faith that they would investigate thoroughly. However, I don't think they were allowed to. And we're talking about people that did the Falconio. Yeah. Some of them involved in that. So these guys are the top pinnacle of the Northern Territory Police Force when it comes to investigations, and they were just shut out of it. Now that to me is what's corruption, is perverting the course of justice. Yeah. So, I'm pretty strong. I'll say what I think. I'm not backward in coming forward, but I was just disgusted with the way that went.
Yeah, you were out of the job at the time. So it was that pinnacle moment, that turning point. So I think we can go back through and talk about the mental strength of Zach Rolfe, the fact that we talked about leadership. So moving forward from that, there was leadership within the police force at that time that was very dictatorial. It was service above self, was literally the catch cry of the commissioner at the time. During his tenure, we're a tiny jurisdiction compared to Queensland, New South Wales, but we had 3 suicides in 2 months in 2022, and it was all during his tenure as commissioner for various reasons, but that all happened under that. So 3 people out of 1,500 is a huge deal. Everyone knows everybody in that organisation. So that was devastating. But the trouble was, for a very long time now, the promotional structure up there, and I think universally, but I speak to coppers from all over the country and from overseas, it was promotion on academia and promotion on people who have done internal investigations and been shown extreme ethical outcomes. Basically, they've stood on a copper's head to walk up to the next rank, So we had a situation in the executive where there were a couple of excellent executive members, and then the trouble was there were others who would say behind closed doors, and I got to hear this a bit, basically, you're not tough enough, you haven't got enough C about you, like you need to get harder on this. And it was basically manipulating and that change management that was going through at the time. Everyone was on about change management. So they'd come through, and the whole idea was that they need to show how you have changed the organisation in some way, and they had to show it. It was a KPI to get promoted, so they'd changed something that wasn't fixed. We ended up with a toxic culture at that executive level, And that's where that was born out of. That the perfect timing or the perfect storm for Zach Rolfe was the timing of that. And that was my opinion of it. So, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
No. No. So that's what that was that part of it. Yeah. So you go, mate.
Yeah, so just talking about that, like one of the things they started to take away, and we were very big advocates, I think, of the police club, not for the drinking culture and all that sort of thing, but being around your mates when you went through a traumatic incident, just sitting there, breaking the ice with a bit of grog, and then talking about it, so you wouldn't take it home to your families. Unfortunately, the police force had this idea that camaraderie and all that would cause corruption. However, camaraderie also reduces corruption if you've got the right leaders in place. So if you've got good leaders that won't tolerate that sort of crap, you can wipe it out of a police force. However, if you put leaders up there that are open to it, it can create it. So look, that's my belief. I don't know what you guys think in relation to that, but you know that's one thing I just wanted to get out there today.
Yeah. So the leadership was a problem, and the trouble was that middle management were excellent. Generally speaking, there were good leaders in there. But yeah, that was it. But is the QPS any different? Is New South Wales Police any different? Is Victoria? And the trouble is, you talk to people all around the country, and I was going, it's all the same. But it's all the same people. So I think what Brian and Jackie are doing, I've just listened to them then, was just excellent. But is there any? We were sort of, the idea was we were going to let Zach talk, and then there was going to be questions for Zach. We interviewed Zach for 12 hours. We interviewed more than the detectives did. So we sort of know quite a bit about what... We know a bit about it. So is there anything that you guys wanted to know more from that real police side of it? Not the tactical side is what it is. If someone stabs you, you shoot them. And we all know that. So that's not really what I thought you guys would be interested in. It'd be the how do you go afterwards? Because we've got all these intimate details. And he's happy for us to... We've got his blessing to be here. So I don't know if anyone's got any questions of it. We'll put you on notice.
How was his mental health after all this happened?
Amazing. However, that's a fluke. It was that it happened to be probably the strongest copper in the Northern Territory that it happened to. There was a very obvious sustained pressure against him, basically charged with murder, and then found not guilty of murder very quickly. He's a guy who's very mentally strong, very focused, all the rest of it. He went through it the whole time just going, I know that I've done the right thing, it will be okay. I think he was bitterly disappointed with the coronial. There was not too much worry about the Supreme Court. There was a hell of a lot of concern about the coronial because that was going to be the time to go, let's take the spotlight off us and see what built up to cause this, and let's look at all the other responses from different government agencies. So that part of it is what really bitterly let him down. Basically, the finding was he's a racist. Okay, that's lazy, but righto. And we can debate that, whatever, but there's no point. But that was basically the outcome. So he was very embittered, but he very quickly he used this analogy that I thought was great. He goes, if a snake's crawling through a shed and it wraps itself around a saw, it'll bite against it, it'll fight against the saw and squeeze itself until it cuts itself in half. And he was saying we wanted to go to the Supreme Court and actually go against the coronial outcome. So appeal the coronial outcome, and then he thought of the snake on the saw and said, why? I'm out, I'm not going back, move on. For me, I'm moving on. So he was reluctant to come here because he's like, you know what, I'm done with policing, I'm moving on, I'm still living in the past, it's time to move on. I couldn't have done it. I don't think I'd have survived what he went through. I'd have felt so let down. Like, yeah. We're not negative people.
No, we're going to have to spark this
that
up
was,
a bit.
Yeah, that was the outcome there. So we wanted to talk about that with him and go from there. But basically, that was what went on there with that investigation and just the devastating effect it had on the NT Police. I'm reading Queensland right there. But
yeah. Look, I was surprised at how good he is. I do worry though, as I know cops, as you get older, some of this stuff will play on your mind. We were speaking to an ex-Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
This is years ago, and he said, he goes, no, you guys are fine. He said, however, I do worry about you as you get older. He said, I found even years later, 10 years down the track, 20 years down the track, he said it starts to affect you. He said, he's seeing a psych all the time and all that sort of thing. He opened up to us. He hadn't opened up to anybody.
Yeah.
So I do worry about Zach as we move forward, and I think it's still important to make sure that he's still knows that we've got his back. So, because that's a big thing.
Yeah. So Darren told me before as well, as everyone's going to be really keen to go to the pub.
Yeah.
So we can keep it short if you like, but we thought we'd tell some. There's policing around the world, and then there's the NT. It's a little bit backwards at times. It's a bit out there. It's pretty wild. So there's just a few little stories that are pretty unique Northern Territory stories. We were thinking about this earlier, going, what's something we can tell the guys that they can relate to it, but it's a bit different. I remember in 2008, you might have been there. 2008, I don't think you were at the job, but yeah. Chasing a kid that had broken into the high school, car came through the back of the shops on the east side of Katherine and crashed into a tree. And the front of the car caught fire. The battery had sparked off and actually caught fire in the car. So they're going to grab the fire extinguisher, called for assistance, got the fireys out. And they're trying to put this out with the fire extinguisher, but it's empty because we're in the NT. Of course it's empty. So that didn't work. But what they did have in the back of the car was a seized carton of VB cans. So when we turns up afterwards to help them out, and they're up to about 10 cans deep, pouring it over the fire. And someone made the comment, "We're going to need another carton."
This is a 2-carton fire.
It's a 2-carton fire. So yeah, there was that car burnt to the ground, by the way. But that's not unusual in the Territory.
And he did get a monument in the Bill Connon Club,
Yeah.
in the police club in Katherine. So yeah, it was up on the wall.
It was.
We didn't let him.
The carton or the car? Both. It was an inferno of note. In the end, it was a show. But cars burn all the time up there. It's not a big deal. So yeah, it was. It's a pretty loose place like that. Couple of the stories back in the day with funny things that used to go on. We get a lot of drunken offending, but a lot of it wasn't evil. It was just dumb, drunk offending. And one night we had an extremely dangerous high-speed pursuit at Florina Road out the north of Katherine that got up to the raging speed of about 42 kilometres an hour, I think. We caught up to it, but to catch up to it, we had to drive quite a distance, and I'd taken a corner, so I'd gone around Florina Road, north of Katherine. And there's a BP depot on the side with Bowsers running that way, and I'd taken the corner way too quick. So I had to go way wide to get around this corner, and I went past the Bowser about half a metre away from it. And my shift supervisor caught up to me and was driving around the corner, and his comment wasn't slow down or anything mean. It wasn't nothing like that. It was, what was the price of fuel, mate? So, yeah, it was a pretty wild show. I can say that I've driven past the fuel Bowser at 110 kilometres an hour. Yeah.
There's some pretty wild stories up there.
Yeah.
When we first joined, I've always told this one, and this is against me. So when we joined, tasers were just coming in to the police force, and we were the crash test dummies. So these are recruits, this is great, we can do our training and see how they work. Yeah, they really stuffed us up. Do you want to tell that one?
Was that, yeah, so we were getting tasered in the college. They stopped that after someone busted their back and went off on compo, and they said, well, we can't be doing that. So anyway, Schultzy's, that was on the job, wasn't it? This recruits?
No. In recruits when I
got... Yeah, recruits. Yeah. So anyway, he's holding, as you do, he's holding his arms out there and they tasered him saying, we're going to show you what happens when a taser barb hits and when one misses, so you've got to complete the cycle. Anyway, he's got no support, he's just standing there. He gets one barb in the back as was designed and the other one goes straight into his elbow. So he goes face first into the ground and was Sydney Harbour bridging on the bench as a recruit. And all the sergeants were terrified that it was going to go on and we're going to have to get the medics in and all the rest of it. And he just gets up and goes, that was awesome! So,
but that's not the only time I have tasered myself. So
this one was a good job. So it would have been a gun every day of the week. A woman had a baby in her arm and had a knife and was going to harm the baby and all the rest of it. And anyway, the boys managed to get the baby away from the missus, but she still had a knife. And anyway, they said, right, it's it, we're going to taser it, away we go. So anyway, Schultzy fires off the taser, it hits her collar and the other one connected. Anyway, so while it's cycling, he reaches around to change out to a second cartridge and grabs hold of it. And there was no changing a cartridge. His hand was glued to the taser for the next 5 seconds.
And we'd blocked off the whole highway at this stage.
Yeah, that was witnessed by hoops of laughing civilians. Yeah. So did that cop just grab his own taser?
Yeah, it's 50,000 volts of fire.
Oh, yeah.
But what's funny about that job also, we're going to it, and like, Duggo was my partner, I've already mentioned him in the podcast, and I turned to him and go, Duggo, this is pretty serious, like, what are we going to do? She's got a 6-month-old, carrying a 6-month-old. Anyway, he just turns to me and goes, you taser her, I'll catch the baby. That was our risk assessment.
Good plan. Good plan. Yeah, things were loose. Talking about territory-specific, overwhelming jobs. Guys have been out Mount Isa way and dealt with Arakoon up north in Queensland as well would get this. Quite often those little communities can go nuts. They'll explode, right? So we'd been out, I was a relieving member, I was about 8 weeks in the job, and we get called to an all-in brawl at Large Manu Oval, and we turn up and it was an all-in brawl. There was no exaggeration. There's 300 people on the oval and there's just glinting metal all through the crowd and there's knives and everything. And I just went, oh my God, we need one RAR. Like, we can't deal with that. So my partner, who'd been in the job for a while, goes, nah, it's all right, mate. You take that side and I'll take that side. Well, there's 150 people there and there's 150 there, and I reckon there's about 50 knives each side and God knows how many star pickets and whatever else. So I said, what do you mean take? Like, you obviously don't like me, Dan. We walk in and he just said, just walk through the crowd and put your arms out like you were talking about last night, and they hand out all the weapons. And we end up loading up. I got cocky halfway through it, and he said, whatever you do, don't grab anybody. Don't fight, just take their weapons. So we get in there and I filled that police cage almost to the top with knives, old cut-off car springs that have been sharpened, like you name it, it was there. And in the end, what resolved it was a fist fight that lasted 1 minute between the two guys in the middle, and that was always going to happen. So that was my introduction to the NT, and I just went, you can't be serious. There's no way that, but it's just the way it was. It was, yeah, the NT is what it is. So yeah, that's one of those stories too.
I mean, it is definitely a unique place. I mean, you look at Elcho Island, I think it was back in 2014 or something there. That whole fight where 2 people got killed, was it 2? Yep. And speared like through the chest, where it's on video. Video footage. Yep.
Yeah.
And that started over 2 teenage girls having an argument.
Yeah. It goes off.
And it just blew out to hundreds of people fighting and 2 people getting killed.
Yeah. So, a Queensland story. So we were on the border. No, I don't think you were there. We had a great relationship between Tennant Creek and Mount Isa CIB. We'd be working the same people. That was our area. And we quite often lined up with a good friend of mine who does like a drink on the border, and not a shitload of police work got done, but we did stand on the RBT and the drug break for a while, ran the drug dogs over it. And anyway, while we're there one day, we'd had an ongoing missing person job on our side, and we get the call that the plane, the NTES SES, have put a plane up and they've found the car. And I rang the NTES coordinator from Tennant, and he goes, I didn't find the car, mate. I flew over the bloody thing at 20 feet. I'm telling you, it's his car. I read his rego, and he's hanging off the side of it, and his neck's 4 foot long. He's been there for months. It's like, righto, job's on. So we go. And I said, well, I'll go and deal with that. The guy's got a scene. And I can't remember who he was. You'd know him. We put him in the car and said, yeah, come for a drive, mate. We'll go. It's only 100 Ks in. We'll go and get that. We'll deal with that, and we'll go back to the border. They'll take the body to Tennant. So we turn up. He'd been there for months. So we've all seen crime scenes. We know what it smells like. I was holding it together. I'm standing over the body, putting the body in the body bag. There was a very junior crew, Proby Connies, standing all around, and they're all just holding on, like just holding on. Anyway, a fly comes straight off a really wet bit off him and goes straight down my throat. So I was doing my best. I'm sorry I couldn't overcome that. So I had to dodge the body. I've launched that way. And in total unison, every single copper there spewed. The probies were doing so well, and they wanted to be all tough in front of the detectives, and they just lost it, and everyone lost it. But even better was my counterpart from Mount Isa CIB, who absolutely lost it. And anyway, we finished our job. I would love to explain that to a forensics officer. What's all this spew? It's like, well, so we get back in the car, and he goes, take me back to Queensland, this is bullshit.
But
so
that's not the first time you swallowed a fly.
Same road. So, same road. Barclay Highway, very long, most boring drive in Australia. We'd had a similar missing person from Victoria come right through. We tracked them through, working with our VicPol counterparts. We'd been down there. And anyway, we send up a helicopter and find him within a minute. And the funny part there was the incident controller had said, all right, we'll put a code word, Santa. So we're on using UHF channel 40 because we're really sophisticated. So he's on UHF channel and he's gone, Santa. I said, yeah, confirm that's the code word. Yeah, no, he's no, Santa. So, oh, Roger. So we go and get the body, and same thing, been there for weeks, 40 odd degrees. So this time it was TRG. Our police tactical group up there is called TRG. So they're all there helping with the search and rescue. And the same bloody thing had happened. fly straight off the squishy bit. But this time they weren't probies. They were big, tough, tactical coppers. And then they all launched. So yeah, it'd be bad enough I did it once, I did it twice, and the luck went all right.
What's the flavour like?
Terrible. Not recommended. 1-star Google review. Yeah. So look, we won't go on and on. I think we wanted to just come across and talk about the fact that the word Queensland on that, just take that away, put every other jurisdiction, and everyone's saying the same thing. So it's not unique. What is very unique is the cop care. What you guys are doing there, that's brilliant. I think it's also recognising the fact that PTSD is inevitable to some extent. There's going to be something. We talk about that PTSD side of things, but it's not debilitating. And I think I coined that term where I said we've got twisted ankle PTSD. Every now and then my ankle's a bit sore, but I don't have snap spine PTSD. So it's on a scale. I think we coined that. It was pretty popular. So that what the union is doing about that is brilliant. Well, that's world. I think it's world first. It's really good. All of us will definitely have something that makes us different. It's just vigilance, and all of you would have this now. Everyone here's relatively senior in the job, so you just know that you can spot a crook a mile away. I still spot. We had a great time at lunchtime sitting out there watching Roma Street. That was funny. How many warrants he got? Yeah. So we still do it. Yeah, that was just the inspector. Yeah. So anyway, we must look like cops too, because he sort of walked past and nodded like. Yeah. So that will stay with you. The other thing I think we're unique in that we've actually left the job. A lot of you guys are still. Well, you're all still in the job. Getting out of the police force is a huge deal because I sort of summed it up was you've got a bucket of water and you throw a boulder in it. It's your whole world is your foundation. You're part of an organisation. Your job's important. What you're doing, trivial shit doesn't matter. The fact we've got no milk, I couldn't care less. I'll go to the shop and I'll fix that problem. Like no one's dead. Where's the blood? So you operate on a different level. You guys would all operate on a totally different level to normal civilians in the street. And all of a sudden, you're a normal civilian in the street with a cop's brain. And it's just, people get really bent out of shape about work stuff. And they go, why? This is ridiculous. But then they think you're strange, and then you don't have your tribe anymore. Whereas, I walk into a room last night, I know 4 of you, and I just went, my people. Like, I'm with my people, because instant relaxation, instant recognition. Like Troy, met you, 1 minute later, we're mates? It was just instant. So, and I find that happens all the time, and that's the reason it's important to have the ability to get to carton every day of the week. Well done. Yeah. Really, really unimportant people talking up here.
Actually, I think it was when he gave you a beer that you became instant friends. That was definitely. Yeah. So like we started this podcast, it was basically to talk about it and get out in the open what we've experienced and all that sort of thing, from the worst to the funniest. And all that sort of thing. I wouldn't have minded a bit more laughter around the room, actually, but
half crowd, mate.
But yeah, just well, mate, we should have had you up here.
Be skinnier.
All right, mate, you're just big boned.
Yeah. I'll buy you a schooner.
And so we just want to normalise policing, and some of the reaction we got when we're talking about PTSD, all that sort of stuff, a lot of people just reached out and said, it's not just me, and it's about talking about it. And what we've heard so far, especially the session just before us, it's about talking about it, getting people to listen. And that's probably one of the reasons why we love the police club. It was about normalising your experience.
Yep. So, mate, I think Fate intervened with us today. We went down the pub and we bought a glass of beer, one, and then we got the scratchies, and I happened to win a couple of things that I just couldn't believe we got because they're absolutely perfect. So we were Northern Territory police officers, but we are Queenslanders. I'm born in St George, he's born in Kingaroy. I grew up in Toowoomba. I went to the NT in 2007 and I haven't been back.
Our parents are still in Toowoomba.
They're still in Toowoomba. So we're very much Queenslanders. And I think it's appropriate. We'll finish off because I think everyone wants to go to the Brecky Creek. They're sick of us.
Well, so before we do, we've just got to thank Shane and Jake for getting us on here.
We do, and I also thank you for the police-issued hangover you gave us this morning. Because there's a hangover, and then there's a police-issued hangover. So we appreciate that. It reminded me of old times.
And there's a carton for Tyson.
Carton for Tyson for suggesting at midnight that we go to the bloody casino. Stupid idea. Anyway, he canned it and went to Macca's instead. So that happened. But yeah, we thought we'd do a little display. I apologise again for my physique, but that happens. So we're very much Queenslanders. We're not stripping.
No.
And it's relevant. There we go. We're Queenslanders. Thank you. NT Police. I won't have a beer tonight. So yeah. We apologise Zach's not here. We had a whole different plan. This is very much makeshift.
Well, thanks guys for listening to this week's episode. We were going to do some shout outs, however, I'm going to save them until next week. The only reason being we met a lot of people over the last 3 days. Absolutely fantastic people. Had some fantastic conversations about policing. And I don't think I'd be doing it justice if I mention a few of the ones I could remember right now. And as it's only me here at the moment, I probably need Damo to give me a bit of a hand, to be quite honest. But yeah, don't worry, you will all get a shout out and some of the fantastic stories. There will be some very exciting interviews coming up that we've lined up. We have quite a few numbers of people that we're going to have a chat to, and their unique stories of policing in Queensland. So listen in to the future episodes, and we'll see you next week.